In a world where pretty much everything we do is online, cybersecurity isn't just some tech issue for the IT department anymore. It's a full-on survival strategy. So today, we're going to break down exactly what cybersecurity risk management is all about. And to help us out, we're leaning on some key insights from Harshdeep Sharma, a cybersecurity consultant based out of Dubai. Let's get right into it. So here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the digital danger zone we're all living in. Then we'll figure out what risk management really is. After that, I'll walk you through a simple 4-step survival plan. And to wrap it all up, we'll talk about why any of this actually matters to you. Sound good? Let's go. All right, first things first, our digital danger zone. See, before we can even think about managing risk, we have to get a clear picture of the threats that are out there, lurking around every corner of the internet. So let me just ask you this straight up. Are your digital assets, your personal info, your company's private data, your bank details, are they really, truly safe? It's a heavy question, I know, but it's one we absolutely have to ask ourselves. Because these threats, they're not just possibilities. They're happening every single day.
And look, we're not talking about some super complicated movie-level hacking here. These are the common everyday attacks. Phishing, that email that looks legit but is really trying to snatch your login. Smishing is just the text message version of that. And then you've got stuff like invoice scams and social engineering, which basically just play on our human nature to trust people. These are the real dangers on the front lines, for you and for any business. Okay, so with all that doom and gloom, how in the world do we fight back? Well, that leads us perfectly into our next section. What in the world is risk management? The best way to think about it is as your proactive game plan for a world that's always, reacting to the next crisis. All right, here's the textbook definition, but don't zone out because it's actually really important. The key word here is process. Risk management isn't a product you can just buy off a shelf. Nope, it's a whole system. You start by identifying what could go wrong, then you evaluate just how bad that would be, and then you put smart, cost-effective fixes in place to dial that risk way down.
And this quote from Harshdeep Sharma absolutely nails it. He says the goal isn't to get rid of every single risk out there. I mean, come on, that's impossible. The real goal is to understand your risks, line them up, and then make smart, informed decisions about where to put your time, your money, and your energy.
And this right here, this is the perfect visual for that mindset shift. We have to stop chasing this impossible dream of eliminating all risk. Instead, we need to focus on the SMART goal, intelligently managing risk. It's all about being strategic, not about being perfect.
Okay, mindset is locked in. Awesome. Now, let's get to the good stuff, the practical part. We're talking about a 4-step survival plan. This is how you take this big, abstract idea of risk management and turn it into something you can actually do. This is your playbook, right here. Step 1, scope and plan. Basically, what are your crown jewels? What's the stuff you absolutely cannot afford to lose? Step 2, business impact analysis. This is where you play out the what-if scenarios. What could go wrong and what's the real damage? Step 3 is your continuity plan. This is your break glass in case of emergency strategy. And finally, step 4, implementation. You got to put the plan into motion and, super important, you have to keep it updated. It's a living thing.
Now, I want to hit pause here for a second on step 2, the business impact analysis. Why? Because this is the engine that drives the whole process. This is where you figure out the difference between a minor headache and a total catastrophe. You look at how likely something is to happen, and you combine that with how bad it would be if it did. That's how you know where to focus.
And this simple table shows you exactly what I mean. Let's take a phishing attack. The likelihood? Pretty high, right? But the impact could be moderate if you're prepared. So what's the response? Train your people. Use good filters. But now look at a server failure. The likelihood might be low, but the impact? Oh, it's huge. It could shut down your whole operation. So the response has to be much bigger. We're talking backups, maybe even a whole separate hot site ready to go. You see, different risks need different plans.
And if you really want to get into the weeds, you can use things called an exposure factor, or EF. Now, don't let the technical name fool you. It's a really simple idea. It just puts a number on how much damage something could cause. So say a fire could wipe out half the servers in your building. Well, the exposure factor for that risk is 50%. It just helps turn a vague what-if into a solid number you can work with.
So, we've walked through the threats, the right mindset, and the step-by-step plan. This brings us to the big finale, the most important question of all. Why does any of this matter? What is the actual, real-world payoff for all this effort?
Well, here's one super simple but powerful reason. You have to.
I'm talking about laws and regulations. Some of them require companies to keep and protect data for a long, long time, sometimes 7 years or even more. So you're legally on the hook to keep that information safe. And a good risk management plan is how you prove you're doing your job.
But the benefits just keep stacking up. A solid plan protects your customers' and employees' private information. It helps you dodge those eye-watering regulatory fines. And yeah, it costs money up front, but trust me, it saves you a fortune by preventing a disaster down the road. At the end of the day, this is about pure business survival and making sure every dollar you spend on security is spent in the smartest way possible.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. After all this, take a second, really think about it. In your own life or in your business, what is the single biggest digital risk that you are totally ignoring right now? Because just knowing what it is, that's the first step to making sure you survive it. Thanks for tuning in.